Welcome, everybody, to Ignite Humanity Live. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm Lady JB Owen, your host for today and the next 30 minutes as we talk about ways to ignite humanity. That's right. We have the ability to ignite humanity, each and every single one of us. And it starts with us because as we grow into ourselves and into our greatness, we allow ourselves to shine that on others. Now, today's a Thursday, so we're talking about solutions. You know, every single problem actually has a solution. Many of us get deeply rooted into our problems. We think it's impossible to solve them, and yet it's not. And the great thing is when you have a problem, all you need to do is find a solution. It may not come exactly in the time frame that you're looking for, but the solution is always there. And it may not be the solution you thought of, but absolutely the one that is best for you and best for humanity. And we want to talk about ways to create solutions in your life with our amazing guest. Let me introduce her, a good friend of mine, Kristen Connell, the creator of the Rewired Mind Method, embarked on a personal journey to restore her emotional and physical well-being after facing prolonged exposure to a mold neurotoxin in her home. This challenging experience led her to research and train in various modalities, aiming to implement these practices within her own family. Inspired by her children, Kristen solved her own. She sought to address complex physical and emotional health issues, which ultimately became a bridge for transforming her clients' lives. Driven by a desire to optimize the human experience, Kristen goes beyond the limitations of conventional health and happiness models. She is committed to catalyzing a paradigm shift in well-being, advocating that increased energy and abundance are attainable for those who choose to ignite their life. I love it. Please welcome her to the show.
Hi, JB. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure always to talk to you.
I so love having you. We've had you on the show before. We are having you back because new things are happening, new things are unfolding. People loved your interview before, one of our top rated ones. Let's talk some more. What's new? What's unfolding? What are some of the things that we can do to create this solution of igniting humanity?
Well, one thing that's come across my path really clearly over the past few months since we've spoken last is following your intuition and really connecting to yourself and what's true for you so that you can share that with others. So really in my practice, I've really leaned into asking people to play with refining their intuition and giving space and place and opportunity to be quiet with yourself, taking away some of the external so you can really dial into what's internal and be authentically you.
Let's unpack that a little bit because people feel like intuition is, well, sometimes they feel like I don't have any intuition or, that's my intuition. I can't trust my intuition. I'd love to just share a little bit about, is intuition knowledge? Is it self-knowing? Is it voice from somewhere else? Is it that internal desire? What is really the idea of intuition? Because I think a lot of people feel like they're disconnected to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I really think what I ask people to do is to play with what intuition is for them. Maybe it's connection to your higher power, your higher source. Maybe it's just listening to yourself. But really, unless you're quiet and you can get into the space where you're not listening to the TV or the messaging from your parents or from your childhood, if you're not giving space or opportunity to hear yourself, whether that's guidance from outside or just a deep gut instinct. Intuition, we all call like I had a gut instinct or I had a feeling, I got a vibe. Those are all words for intuition. So we're just using that overarching theme to say, are you giving opportunity to listen to yourself? Period. That's it. And, I always guide people to say, do meditation, practice being quiet with yourself, practice shutting off the TV or, the 7 different screens we have working at a time, and then play with it in a non-threatening way where you're like, do I take the high, the HOV lane or the, high frequency lane, or do I go with the normal traffic? Play with it in places that are safe so you can see, did I listen to my intuition? And then don't listen to your intuition and see how it works out for you. Play with it and then always go further.
Yeah, and for any of us that are probably over 20 years old, we have experience and examples of like, I didn't listen to myself and dot, 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 or, I totally listened to myself and dot, dot, dot. And we have these knowingnesses of when our intuition is really speaking to us. But I do like what you said about the noise, because if we are so busy with so much other frequencies of other things, it's really hard for us to hear, because often the intuition doesn't yell, scream, and be louder than everything else. It can be a quiet whisper. It can knock on the door a few times and be like, are you listening to me? But it is interesting, because when it comes to intuition, and I love this conversation because and my guests come on the show to help me also. Thank you so much. Is there times when we don't listen to our intuition? We end up fumbling a little bit. We knew we should have listened to our intuition, and then we go through that kind of self-abuse, or that, beating ourselves up for it. Can you talk a little bit about some solutions to that?
Well, there is a lot of self-judgment that happens in this process. And that's why I say take the small, threatening versions of listening to your intuition first. But those teachable moments, those moments where you don't listen to yourself, are literally our own version of university. We're going through university. Not every course are we going to get an A in. So you just have to say, this was part of my education. This is part of my process. I was a freshman. Now I'm a sophomore. If you can pull back the lens on it and say, this isn't about me or my judgment, or I should have, could have, would have, and just say, I'm in university and I'm scaling up here and I'm educating myself in a way that I'm getting better and better with each time, each practice, each opportunity, then you kind of neutralize it. It becomes less about, you and the judgment and the shame or the guilt. And it becomes more about, I'm evolving. That's it. Growth.
And being a student of one's life is so fascinating, interesting, and fun, because if we just knew it all and it was all just already up there, we already just experienced it all, and we already just had all of those, thoughts and feelings, like it would kind of be kind of boring. We just sit on the chair outside our porch and kind of like let life unfold. So being a student is really having those great experiences. I've been a student of yours. I've been a client of yours. I've had the joy of experiencing many of your modalities. Talk a little bit about this idea of rewiring the mind, because a lot of us get stuck in our rut. I'm never going to change. This is just the way I am. This is just the way it is. But that isn't really the truth. We're so capable of evolving.
Yes, we're so capable of evolving. And coming from my past experience, I wasn't really tuned in or dialed into these intuitions, emotions, these concepts. It came to me later in life, and of course, it was a ignite moment. Ignite moment, and I was going to go through it. Either way, I was going to go through that spark. So being exposed to mold, I looked at all the physical and not the emotional. But it wasn't until I came across the emotional component of what had accumulated and was decaying or not working or rotting. Mold is a decaying agent. When I came across that my emotions that had been created from in utero, from conception, were really running a background program on me. When I came across this information, I thought, this is so interesting, because we all know our phone will run very slow and very inefficiently when we have all those screens open. Well, us in our adulthood have too many screens open, too many emotions that are not being utilized properly, or we're not even aware that they're running a program on us. So when I came across the subconscious mind, as well as the superconscious, which is that connection to the higher source or this higher knowledge or wisdom, I began to culminate it all and went deeper with even the ancestral pieces that we inherit some of our characteristics, our emotions, and our traits in our life through ancestors. So it became this really big study, really a university education later on in life. And I'm so grateful to have it, because I create transformation in people and awareness. Like, I'm pulling up a 30,000 foot lens on someone's life and saying, have you considered that this might not be from, your childhood or from last year? Maybe it's from your ancestors. And then we seek to resolve it and rewire it very quickly and elegantly. And I'm so grateful that I found this.
Well, I want to attest that I've just so much enjoyed your teaching also, and the services, I guess, or the modalities that you've applied to my life. And you're right, it isn't painful, it isn't hard, it isn't difficult, but it is opening up the lens to something different than what we thought, particularly in this exact moment or landscape of our life as today and who we are. And so I really appreciate that, because when we can widen the lens to anything that we think or believe to be true and adopt this playful attitude that maybe there is something else to it, it really allows us to dissipate some of the texture or tension that we put to it and open up to new possibilities. And I think that's one of the things that you have really shown, is that there are so many opportunities and so many possibilities. Share a little bit about how people can step into some of the things that you like to teach. What can they do at home right after the show?
Well, so really right before we're about to go to bed and when we wake up, we're really open to new ideas or new suggestions. So some people will take opportunity to set their intention. That's a big moment to set your intention, because if you haven't set the navigation system to where you'd like to go, you're likely not going to get there. So attention and intention are two big things that I ask people to do. You're not going to just arrive on the doorstep of a destination if you haven't really designated where you're going. So I ask people to designate where they're going, and then to use that time where they're in a more relaxed or open state when they're about to go to sleep or waking up, to write some things, to say some affirmations, or even to do that meditation, even a guided meditation that you can find, anywhere these days. Meditation has become very popular, to just reinforce that that is your intention, and you're going to curate it through the day. And if you catch yourself out of alignment, the same way that if you bump a curb, you have to go in and align your car, just these little micro alignments throughout the day, saying, this is not on my path, and I'm just going to move in the direction where I choose to go. Setting that alignment in the beginning of the day and the end of the day, I think, is a huge priority.
I so agree with you. Like, we have the power to set the course for our day and for our experiences. I often do that exercise on the plane. Every single time I'm on the plane going somewhere, just before I land, I write out my intention. What do I want this trip to yield? What are my expectations? What would I like? What do I like to create? What would I like to manifest? What would I like the universe to manifest? And it's so amazing, because usually 9 times out of 10 that unfolds and evolves even bigger, better, and more beautifully than I could have decided, versus just letting myself wander throughout the situation. Sometimes people are feeling a victim of their circumstances, or victim by the way life is. This is such a great tool to use to move through that. Talk a little bit about you yourself, your Ignite moment. You wrote in one of our books, just moving through that, becoming the hero of your story.
Yes, it's so true. I was, like I had mentioned, I was exposed to some compromised air quality. It really doesn't matter what it is you're exposed to, but something that's compromising your well-being. And so in my case, it was mold. In some other people's cases, it would be some, a relationship or something. But I came to this understanding that I needed to step into the driver's seat and to create change. I first started with doing supplementation and detoxes and things of that nature. But really, as I came to understand how the mind works, and that we haven't upgraded or been shown how to upgrade our mind and our emotions and all of the pieces of our life story, we haven't been given the tools to do so. So I set out to give myself the tools, and really to help my children, because, we were experiencing this all together. So my first clients were actually children, and they were friends of my kids, and part of the Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts. And they were just my first clients to come forth. And my whole business has grown just from the beginning there, that I was solving for something so quickly and so powerfully, and without even needing to narrate or talk about it. Many of these modalities, you need to identify what the problem is. Well, I come in and I say, we don't have to do that, because your subconscious already knows. We just need to find the file, and I help you do that. So being in a space where I'm making something so easy and very fast to transform the person, and they feel it right away, it has just become a big reward in my life to offer this to others, whether it's one-on-one. I've been offered to speak at many conferences. I do thousands of people at the same time. I did the 20th anniversary of 9/11 in Times Square. It was a beautiful, beautiful moment to be able to influence and impact people on that scale. and to have people leave saying, I feel like there's possibility, I feel like there's hope, and I feel like there's a way forward from something that could have been unfortunate. We become the victim to the victor, and it's very well known in transformation now. But I just really want to impact everyone and tell them you are the agent for change. So having agency is everything.
I love that. It's so true. And I feel that every time I work with you, give me a little teaspoon of what we could do at home, something that our viewers could try right now today, or even right now on the show, to just help alleviate some of that or feel that sense that you bring all of us with your work.
Well, so really what I ask people to do sometimes when they're getting into a state, fear is a big component of life right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. So when I am asking people to step into their own power in order to regulate your nervous system and to get into an improved brain state or a slower brainwave state, because the excitability will create that tension or anxiety. In order to just create some change, all you need to do is breathe few times and then put your eyes up into where you would call your eyebrow or your forehead. And if you can hold your eyes up there and take several deep breaths, you can actually downregulate your nervous system and your brainwave patterns to really improve any fear or anxiety. And then give yourself some messaging saying, I am better every moment. With each breath that I take, I'm feeling more calm, centered, and balanced. And these affirmations in a state of calm, balanced brain waves is going to just bring you to a regulation state. That's as easy as it could be. But giving yourself a reminder to do so is even more important. So if you have to set a reminder on your phone, then do that. Make it easy and actionable and repeatable so that you're consistent with each and every process. If you just, go work out one time and say, well, I'm supposed to be fit forever, it's the repeatable things that you can continue through your life that as you notice they make you feel better, you're going to be more inspired to do so.
Well, you have shared that with me before, and I will tell you, I do it every night when I put on my eye mask. It's my ritual. I put on my eye mask and then I look up and I can feel my eyelashes like rubbing against my eye mask. And so I have that little whole thing where I do right before I go to sleep, because many times I'm notorious for going to bed and thinking, oh, I should have done this, and oh, I should get up and do this, and oh, what about this, and oh, what about that, and I got to do this tomorrow. And so you have taught me that. And so I do it every night, lay down in bed, put on my eye mask, and then just look right up as high as I can and just start to calm myself down so I have a good sleep versus tossing and turning and thinking about the things that I can't really do anything about anyway. I have heard a lot of research saying that when we're sleeping, we're actually not really sleeping the way we should, because our amygdala is still so fired up. We still have so much fight or flight going on that we're really not getting the rest and the relax that our bodies need. And we're not really waking up as rested as we could.
No, we're absolutely not. And it's because we're still trying to process what has been unprocessed through the day. Like each and every water bottle that you go to recycle, it weighs 1 ounce. But when you have a million of those, bottles that need to be processed and go to the recycling or to be, processed out of your system, the thoughts are the same way. If we're not processing them and giving them space to neutralize or clear or just be present with them, if we're not giving time and space to do that via the meditation or via these practices of mindfulness, and even a guided meditation is much better than no meditation at all. But allowing ourselves that processing time so that that recycling facility doesn't get overwhelmed when we come in one day, that's really the most important thing. So having a practice is the beginning, and you already have a practice because you want to do everything. You want to be everything for everyone. You want to accomplish it all. And many of us do want that, but there are not enough hours in the day. But having that space at time to say, I am a priority here. So I can be better tomorrow when I take this 5 or 10 minutes to prioritize my well-being so that I can impact and help others, ignite others throughout the day tomorrow.
So well said. Well, let me ask the big questions that I love to ask. How can we ignite humanity? How can we use some of the tools you've shared, help with our own self-regulation? How is that going to influence and impact humanity? I feel like not enough people are realizing that even though they're one person on this massive planet, their energy, their source, their decisions, their actions truly has this massive ripple effect. And if it's negative or difficult or trialsome, that's still going to impact people around us. How can we shift and use what you're teaching to make a difference for humanity?
Well, I think loving yourself first is the big priority here, and seeking ways to love yourself so that when you are dealing with others, you are authentically in a state of love versus judgment or fear or anxiety. So, the first project I always think is working on yourself, because much like the oxygen mask, you can't help others unless you can breathe. So that first step is loving yourself in small ways, in this self-care at night. That's a way of loving yourself, of treating yourself well, of speaking to yourself well, is a beautiful beginning.
Mhm.
And then in that connection to yourself, you can create connection with others. Loving authenticity is a huge part of my practice. Being authentic is one thing, but being authentically loving and peaceful and kind and balanced is another thing. Really having connection with yourself so that you can connect with others, because what's in us is going to come out of us at some point. Much like when we get anger, there's short little bursts of things that we look and we think, well, where did that come from?
Mm.
Anger is a driver. It can move through you very quickly, or it can stay in you and build resentment. But looking honestly at what is inside of you and what your patterns and behaviors are so that you can improve those, and then going out into the world, really
Mm.
starting from a foundational place of love, I think is the best start for anyone.
It's so true. I mean, think about loving authenticity. When you want to share information with somebody, you want to give feedback, you want to let people know that something isn't necessarily working for you. Our habit is to be in charge and to be, discerning and to be commanding and to like let them know how we feel. And yet, if we were to do it in a loving, compassionate, authentic way, it would resonate so much more with one another and it would just filter out so much more. And sometimes we as humans, we feel like, we have the right to judge, we have the right to give our opinions, we deserve da, da, da. And that loving authenticity is so powerful. I always say that just because it's the truth and it's hurtful doesn't mean it's okay to share. I tell that to my kids and remind them that even though something is the truth, if it hurts another person, it's not okay to share it that way. How do we be more loving and authentic? And, we talk a lot about the power of one of the Ignite Humanity principles of just reading them. Live authentically and with genuine integrity is rule number 6. And I think that applies exactly to what you just said. Love that. Love that. Talk a little bit about your chapter in Ignite Forgiveness, correct?
Yes, ignite forgiveness. Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
beautiful moment for me to write down my story, which I hadn't done before, just really outlining it and looking back at it and saying, where have I come from and where am I now? And what have I done with the information? How have I let this guide my life in a positive way? So writing about the forgiveness of being exposed in my home to mold and, being ill, having my children suffer from their mold illness and some inflammation and chronic, what were perceived as allergies. Going back and looking at it, it was the end of my marriage at the time. And it really got down to, it wasn't anyone's fault. And that was a big part of it. The blame game is a really tricky game to play. But when I got deep into it and said, I'm looking to forgive myself, to find that forgiveness and kindness in me, for me, that was the entire wrapping up this entire chapter of my life and of that chapter of the book, of the contribution, wrapping that bow around it and saying, and I didn't know that's where I was headed when I began writing, to be perfectly honest.
Right.
It part of the process, meeting you and coming into this chapter of this book, it led me to that ultimately I was looking to forgive myself, not anyone else, not the house, not my ex-husband, no circumstances. It was forgiving me and loving me. That was the theme.
I recently was in LA at the Oscar party and I asked a bunch of people in one word, what do you think is going to ignite humanity? And so many people said forgiveness. So many people said just forgiveness of all the things that are unfolding for so many of us. Talking to you is such a dream. I just feel like I can just like fall back. You will catch me and support me and just give me, so many tools to support myself. I love working with you because folks, many times we work with people and we are dependent on them to help make us feel better. What Kristen really does is teach you how to really level up in your life and feel good about what you're doing and the things that are important to you. And it doesn't have to be perfect. That's what I love. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's that dance that we get to play with our lives and that we get to experience all the wonderful things that we get to enjoy. Thank you so much. Any last words you'd like to leave our audience with?
It's always such a pleasure, and really having grace with yourself and that forgiveness process, and looking to always improve each and every day, each and every thought, each and every moment. It's micro changes, the micro pivots that make the big picture. And, just an honor to be here always. I love our conversations. I learn something from you each and every time. And I hope that your audience really resonates with this conversation. And any way I can support anyone in your community would be my honor and my privilege, and deeply grateful.
Folks, I absolutely encourage you to reach out to Kristen. We'll put up her website so you can find her, the rewiredmind.com. Absolutely fantastic. You really are going to see absolute results. I encourage you to reach out to her. Thank you, my darling. I hope I'm going to see you next week in Las Vegas.
Thank you so much, JB. Have a lovely day.
All right. Take care. Blessings to you. Think about all the ways that it's possible for you to rewire your mind and to really seep into that playful place of intuition, where your intuition is speaking to you, sharing with you, and ultimately wants the very, very best for you. Trusting your intuition will really guide you forward. Now, if you're interested in meeting myself or Kristen or 54 of our other phenomenal speakers, teachers, and trainers who are coming to Las Vegas next week, May 16th and 17th, we're headed on over there for Gatherama, and we'd love to have you join us. It is going to be a star-studded power play of wonderfulness, as many people are sharing about igniting your book, igniting your brand, igniting your business, and igniting, just like Kristen said, your breakthrough, breaking through to that next place inside of you that you absolutely know you can achieve. So please use the link below to find out more about Gatherama. If you'd like to know more about the books that we're up to, well, we're always doing wonderful compilation books, telling people's Ignite moments, sharing their stories. Our next compilation book is Ignite Creativity. September, we're doing Ignite Impact. In January, we will be doing Ignite Resilience. And March of 2025, Ignite Kindness. All kinds of fun things. We love partnering with people, organizations, industry leaders, where this is their modality. If you'd like to share your story and you feel impact, creativity, resilience, or kindness has been an Ignite moment for you, reach out and apply. Just go to our website and let us know what you're up to. If you like the guest that we have on the show and you would like to be one of them, please let us know. Fill out our type form and tell us what you're doing to ignite humanity. Each and every person on the show is doing something different in their own unique way. And what we know is you as the audience watching will hear something will spark and ignite that ignition in you to go out and do the very best version of your life. But if you feel igniting humanity is something you'd like to share, let us know. Well, we love hearing from you. We love seeing you. We thank you for showing up each day. We are here Monday to Friday at this exact time, live on Traverse TV. And we're also on so many other places for you to find us. Big blessings to you. Hope to see you in Vegas, and we will see you tomorrow. Blessings. Take care.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.